Sisters. I'm Sandhya.
And I'm Swapna.
And this is the STEAM League, where we get to learn about the day-to-day careers, aspirations, and origin stories of incredible superheroes in science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
And today we are super excited because we have the huge honor of being joined by Canadian Space Agency superstar, Kristen Facciol.
Kristen is a flight controller with the Canadian Space Agency, and we are massive fans.
Yes, we are. Welcome to the STEAM League, Kristen, and it's so good to see you again.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. It's really nice to see you guys again, and I'm honored to be a guest on your show.
Thank you so much. We're going to launch this interview with a quick game.
And this is going to be the quick fire round of questions. And we have a handy dandy, where is it? Little Canadarm to help us select the questions.
I love it.
Okay, so we've got questions in this cow person hat. Yep.
All right, the first question.
Oh, there's something in the way.
Oh, chosen one. All right.
Okay, so which one will it be? There we go.
Question with the Canadarm. Okay. All right, your first question, Kristen, is what would your superpower be?
Ooh, my superpower would probably be being overly enthusiastic about everything and just bombarding the world with positivity.
I love that.
That's amazing. Okay, question number 2 with the Canadarm. Yes, we got one. What is your favorite city?
Ooh.
My favorite city, probably San Sebastian in Spain.
Ooh, why were you there?
I was there on my honeymoon actually, and I absolutely fell in love with it, with the food and the lifestyle and beach city, everything. It was awesome.
The best of all worlds. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, your next question is, what was your favorite subject in school?
I'd have to say either calculus or chemistry, I think, but more so calculus.
Yeah, and both of those are really reasonable pathways to flight operator. So it was written in the stars from the very beginning?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, next one
is, what is your favorite constellation, Kristen?
I think I'd have to go with Ursa Minor because it contains Polaris, the guiding star.
Stellar choice.
Thank you. I hope this is filled with puns.
Ooh. Well, Kristen, do you believe in aliens?
I mean, I don't not believe in aliens, but I am of the mindset that I like to have proof for all of my beliefs.
Spoken like a scientist. Okay. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food, oh gosh, probably empanadas.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah.
Favorite spot to get them?
I like them when my abuelita makes them. I tried making them myself. They were not very good.
What's your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday. I know this is going to be a weird one, but I think Labor Day. Because transition between summer and fall, it's like the perfect time of year. There's no pressure to have to buy presents for anybody. We get a day off work. So yeah, I'd say Labor Day.
That sounds like the perfect day.
Yeah. It was April 25, but I mean, I like this one.
Okay. All you need is a light jacket.
That's right. I mean, that still applies on Labor Day, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Who would you want to share a brunch with from history? Anyone in history?
Who would I want to share a brunch with? Oh my gosh, there's so many. That's a really tough question. Only because I've been seeing more of her recently. I think I'd want to talk to Poppy Northcutt about her experiences in mission control and what it was like back when she did the job that I get to do now.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That would be a very interesting brunch.
Yeah.
There'll be flies on the wall for that one.
Oh, okay. This might be a little bit controversial. What's your favorite hockey team?
My favorite hockey team is the Chicago Blackhawks.
No, I don't know if we can be friends.
Okay, interview over.
I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Okay, respect though, original six.
Yes, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Okay. It's fine.
And last quickfire question. If you were given the opportunity to go to space yourself, would you?
Yes. I don't know if I could do a long duration mission, but I definitely want to go to space.
Hey, maybe say space travel will be a thing for many more people with space tourism and that sort of thing.
I hope so.
Our next interview might be in space. Who knows?
That would be amazing.
Perfect. All right. So that was it for the quickfire.
And now we're
Those
going
are tough.
Hey, you did amazing.
You did great. For stage one, you did perfectly. But now we're going to explore some of the who, what, where, when, why, and how of Kristen Facciol's career and herself. So let's get to the first career question.
Okay, so we're gonna blast off this section with the first question. So you're an engineer, and you recently also got your flight controller certification-ish recently. What exactly does a flight controller do, and are there other steps to becoming one?
Let's see. Okay, flight controllers do lots of things. So I'm specifically a robotics flight controller, meaning that we deal with the robotic systems on the International Space Station. But the actual space station has flight controllers of all different types operating it. So the specific path for how I got to where I am now required a lot of training that included self-studies and simulations, oral board exams. So it's kind of like a thesis defense where you're sitting there answering questions about different areas of the system that we're going to be operating. And it's a whole combination of those things just to make sure you're really comfortable and familiar with the system that you're operating. And flight controllers of all different sorts go through a similar process. So yeah, I got here with a lot of hard work, a lot of practice, and a lot of studying.
Sounds like there was a lot of different kinds of examinations.
Yeah, and as the engineer part as well, what was that path like?
So that path was a little bit uncertain at first because when I was deciding what I wanted to do in university, the access to information wasn't what it is today. So I didn't really know what engineers could be or could do, and my focus was pretty limited at the time in terms of thinking an engineer was either going to be building bridges or driving trains. So it wasn't until one of my grade 12 teachers told me to consider going into engineering because of my affinity for physics and math and science that I started to realize how many different disciplines existed. But in the same way that, I worked really hard to become a flight controller, I worked really hard to become an engineer. So I was doing a lot of studying, working on the soft skills as well, learning how to work with a team, learning all of the different disciplines that could work together to come up with solutions and use what we know in order to come up with, ways to solve problems that we see in our everyday lives.
So it takes hard work, but it pays off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds like the stars are the limit.
Never.
What would you say are the most important skills for becoming a flight control or robotics flight controller?
So I think having an interdisciplinary background is really important because you need to be able to understand how our system interacts with all of the other ones and how, a failure in another system might impact us in some way. Being able to do technical communication and take a very, very complex idea and explain it in a way that can be understood by somebody that's not necessarily an expert in the subject is very important. And at the end of the day, teamwork is absolutely essential. Like, you need to be able to work with people. You need to realize that you're working towards a common goal. So being able to work with them and communicate amongst each other is very, very important.
So those technical skills and the softer skills like teamwork are important. Cool. Good to taking notes. When did your interest in space first start?
From a very young age. I don't know that I necessarily even could give you a specific time, but I always just looked up at the sky and wondered what was out there. I remember when we would go up north when I was younger, and I'd sit there and look up at the stars and learn about the different constellations, and I was very curious about that and asked a lot of questions, and slowly learning about space throughout school got me more and more curious. And then eventually when I was 10, I went to space camp, and that was when everything got kind of wrapped up in this amazing package where I was like, hold on, there are so many other ways I could look into space exploration and become a part of it one day. And that was when I first learned about the Canadarm and Hubble Space Telescope and what we were doing as Canadians in terms of our contributions to the space program. And I think that really solidified my wanting to get involved.
That sounds like an incredible experience. And quick question. We asked you what your favorite constellation was, but what's your favorite planet?
I think I'd have to say Mars.
Ooh, what's
It's the next place I see us really learning more about and hopefully being able to go to in my lifetime.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Okay. Around a year ago, you drove a Mars rover and flew the Canadarm2 on the very same day. I mean,
simulated versions of them.
Still counts. And as a flight controller, you work with different kinds of robotics. What is the most interesting space robot that you've ever worked with, and why?
I'd probably have to say Dexter, just because Dexter was an evolution of Canadarm and Canadarm2 and really showcases the capabilities that we have in space now in terms of things that we can accomplish robotically. So it took everything that we had learned. It also came up with a solution to offload the stress associated with performing spacewalks, and now allows us to do a lot of the tasks that previously required astronauts to be done robotically. So all of Dexter's operations are ground controlled, which means that it's our robo team on the ground that's commanding Dexter to do all of these different things. And it's just incredible what we've been able to accomplish. We can do repairs on our own systems. We can do quick turnaround repairs on the space station. We've been able to install tons of different science experiments. We've proven that we can interface with different satellite interfaces to do refueling and repairs on orbit. So I really think Dexter's just an incredible machine.
Multi-purpose. What does Dexter stand for?
So Dexter is actually SPDM, which stands for Special Purpose Dexterous Manipulator. So Dexter is short for the dexterous part of that.
Speaking of robots, I have a quick question for both of you, which is, what is a robot's favorite music?
I don't know.
Well, there's rock, pop, rap, hip hop. Oh, Kristen, I think I know.
What is it?
Is it heavy metal?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
You can add that to your arsenal next time you talk.
Awesome, I will.
Next question. Can you tell us about when you did some incredible work with the SpaceX Commercial Resupply Service mission that launched in May 2019, and what was that all about?
Yeah, so I was what's called the mission designer and tasked for the prox portion of that. So the prox would be the actual capture and installation of the vehicle, as well as the eventual release and everything associated with that. And what was cool was at the time, we were already starting to plan for some of the Crew Dragon missions that are upcoming. So all of the new zones that are associated with that. So part of my job involved writing all of the procedures that were associated with the capture, installation, and release, as well as any contingency procedures that we might have needed for that mission. And then I got to sit on console for those operations as well. So it was really cool because I got to help plan out what we were going to do and put these robotics trajectories together. But then I also got to sit there and be a part of that whole mission. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is incredible.
Start to finish, that's amazing.
And was that one of them where you got the mission plaque as well?
Yes, I did. So the flight director for that mission, TJ Creamer, sent us, the team that was working on it, sent us the plaques for that. That's the one, yeah. Just a plaque with a thank you card for being a part of that team. So again, just the importance of working together and being able to accomplish those goals and being recognized for that is a pretty cool feeling.
Sounds like a pretty great community.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of different parts to make something like that actually happen.
Absolutely.
Really cool.
And as part of your training, you worked at the Neutral Buoyancy Lab at NASA in Houston. We're wondering what it's like working there and what kinds of tests can be done there and how are they useful in space application?
So the Neutral Buoyancy Lab is a massive, massive swimming pool that's a mock-up of the space station underwater. So when we're planning for a spacewalk, we write draft procedures that the astronauts will use when they're doing these spacewalks, and then they suit up, get lowered into the water, and they go through these procedures as though they were being executed in space. So being able to do that helps us to really perfect those procedures based on what the astronauts are experiencing while they're performing these runs, to say, hey, I think this could be improved, or I really liked the way this was done, or we might need to change the arm configuration to get us a little bit closer to the work site. So it really helps us to plan for and prepare for a spacewalk, and to get our products ready so that we feel safe operating them while the crew members are performing spacewalks on the space station.
That's awesome. Makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of cool that you can use a giant swimming pool to kind of replicate what the actual setting would be like.
Absolutely.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing that such applications can be useful for space that are done on.
Yeah. We really do need to learn how to swim.
Yes. Okay, so if you could name a space shuttle or robotic device, what would you call it?
Oh gosh. I have no idea.
We put you on the spot there, didn't we?
It would depend on its purpose, right? I think what was really neat about how they've been naming rovers is, getting the community to weigh in and offer up their suggestions. So I think I would want to do something similar where, I could help inspire people to follow the mission by getting them involved in some way. So I think I would do something like that.
It's actually a really, really cool way to do it, because then everybody gets to play some sort of role in a space expedition.
Yeah,
and then you feel personally invested as well, and it really gets the community excited instead of the people that are directly involved with it.
Yeah, that's a great answer, because we were talking about how the community in this entire area is so great, but the community does involve the public too, because it's publicly funded often.
Absolutely.
We're gonna switch gears real quick and play a quick game.
Switch gears.
And we're gonna keep throwing those out there. This game is where we ask you to explain a photo that we found on your Instagram. Let me grab it.
A different one from the one you've shown me already.
Yeah, yep. We did our research, Kristen. Actually, we have 2 photos, so we're just gonna do each one real quick. This is the first one.
That's my hockey jersey.
Uh-huh.
So the CSA, Canadian Space Agency, has a few hockey leagues actually, and that was the jersey that I bought when I actually transitioned from playing goalie to going back to being a skater again, because I was able to be playing both positions. And the number is the year that I was born. So now you all know how old I am.
That's awesome. That's actually super awesome, except for the fact that you went from goalie to something else.
No, I think that's the best.
No, now I can play both. I just needed extra jerseys.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Okay. Love it.
Could we say maybe that you're the Sidney Crosby of the CSA?
A lot of people assume that that's why the number is what it is. I was born one day before Sidney Crosby, so the number was mine first.
Sorry, Sid.
But I wish my skill level compared.
Well, you have a very diverse skill set, so I wouldn't question that. Okay, the second photo is this one. Do you remember?
Oh, that's the control room at the Canadian Space Agency. So what I think is awesome is that a lot of people think of mission control as the facility at the Johnson Space Center, but we actually have a full control center that's fully integrated with Houston's mission control based out of Saint-Hubert, Quebec at the Canadian Space Agency. So that is a setup of my console there. As you can see, there is a lot to watch during robotics operations. Oh yeah, I think it's amazing because there is a Canadian team flying Canadian robots from a Canadian facility, and that's what that picture means to me.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really inspiring to see, because as kids growing up in Canada, it's so cool to know that you can actually do this. And
absolutely.
In Canada,
Yes.
That's super cool. We went there once and we didn't want to leave.
You have to come back.
We will.
Oh, we will.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for doing the explain that photo. So now,
My pleasure.
Gear up for some more.
Career questions.
Awesome.
Okay. The next one is, what's one mistake that you made that turned out to actually be a great lesson?
So I didn't do super well in first year of engineering. It was a really difficult transition for me, and my marks weren't what I wanted them to be, and I came pretty close to not getting through that first year. And at a portion or at a moment in time, I actually even considered leaving engineering, and I was pretty close to doing that. But ended up deciding, you know what, I think I'm going to stick this out and see what happens. And it ended up taking me places I never thought I'd go. So I guess the mistake in that context is that I didn't study as hard as I should have and didn't perform as well as I wanted to. But it ended up working out in the end.
That's awesome. That's perseverance right there.
Mm-hmm. And learning.
Just like the rover.
Learning from mistakes, which might not really even be mistakes, but just learning experiences can really help set you up for future successes. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so next, when was the most exciting moment of your career so far?
The most exciting moment.
For us, you've had many.
Thanks. I think, you know, the actual flight controller certification was pretty cool because my manager at the time said, you know, you're only the 14th Canadian to have ever gotten this. And for me, I was like, wait, what? So that was definitely exciting. But in terms of like the butterflies in my stomach, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, was when I was standing in mission control watching a procedure that I had written get executed on orbit for the first time, and just watching the downlinks from the space station and seeing Canadarm2 in the configuration that I had designed it to be put in was just like a mind-blowing moment.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
You put your mark on that. That's
yeah.
really, really cool.
What a feeling.
Yeah, and you've done some incredible work in your very illustrious career so far.
You guys are too kind, thank you.
You just call it as it is, Kristen.
You even got a shout out from the Prime Minister. What was that like?
That completely took me by surprise. I remember opening my Twitter and seeing that, and I was like, wait, what? It was really cool because at the end of the day, working for the Canadian Space Agency means that my job is for Canadians across the country, and just knowing that it was recognized that what we're doing really contributes to our society and is really able to showcase all of Canada's capabilities and what we're able to do is just a really amazing feeling.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You're pretty awesome. Next question.
You're pretty awesome, both of you.
Aw, thanks.
Next question is, what do you do to keep balance? Because you have a pretty busy career. Do you have other hobbies that you kind of do to, because you talked about hockey as well.
Yeah. I do just love playing sports in general. I think hockey is the one that I play the most, but I also like to play soccer and volleyball, but music is my absolute passion. So I've learned how to play a few instruments throughout my life. The one that I still maintain and stick to this day is guitar, and it's a great way to just calm down, relieve my stress, and play some songs and sing. I love doing that, and obviously building Lego.
It goes without saying.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. As musicians, we have to jam sometime.
But we do.
So do you play the acoustic guitar then?
I do. Acoustic and electric, and I also used to play bass, but I don't have a bass anymore.
Oh, that's
so cool.
String instruments are my favorite. So my favorite instrument that I ever learned was the cello. I never ended up buying my own cello, but might be something that I do in the future because I think that's the one that I miss the most.
It's never too late.
No, it's not. Let us know if you do, because the cello has such a beautiful tone, and I think it would be great for we just would love to hear it.
I used to be in a band when I was still living in Toronto it was an acoustic group where there was a guitarist, a bassist, and I was on cello, and it was just so much fun. I really miss that. I think this is inspiring me to get back into cello.
Nice. Okay, great. Yeah, we used to do a mini band that didn't last that long. It was 2 sitars and a version of drums, and we would violin. We did one with like a bit with cello, a bit with violin, bit with flute. So yeah, this is also inspiring us to get back to
Amazing. We have to jam.
Noting that down as well. Okay. The next question is, since you are an integral part of many spaceflight teams, you are given super cool patches that symbolize that mission or project. What is the most meaningful patch that you've been given?
I think the most meaningful one was the one for robotic refueling mission phase 3. The cool thing about that project and mission is that I've been involved throughout my entire career in different ways. So for phase 1, I was an analyst helping tune the control parameters. In phase 2, I was the lead engineering support lead. And now for phase 3, I've transitioned from the lead mission designer, so the person writing the procedures, to actually leading the project within my team. And being a part of the evolution of the mission as it kind of went with the evolution of my career has been a really neat thing to be a part of, to see how we can get involved in different ways and how I've personally been involved in different ways. And yeah, I think getting that patch was probably the coolest thing for me.
That's amazing. And a really cool story. It kind of just culminates your arc in those 3 phases.
Really cool.
Absolutely.
Okay. Ooh, this is our last career question before we move on to another game. And that is, what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's interested in becoming a flight controller?
The one piece of advice that I tend to give to anybody, regardless of what they want to pursue, is that you really need to ask for opportunities and seek out opportunities to learn and to improve yourself. I like to think that, if you don't ask the question, the answer is always going to be no. So it's really important to seek out what you're interested in, follow your passions, follow your interests, but try to find ways to get involved in different ways. Try to find out opportunities to learn more, whether it's, shadowing somebody or an unpaid internship up to a paid internship or a potential career opportunity. If you don't look for those and you don't actually show interest, then you're never going to get them. And the worst thing that's going to happen is you end up exactly where you started if you ask those questions.
That's really, really good
really
advice.
Good advice. And I
Definitely.
really like that. If you don't ask the question, the answer is going to be no. So ask those questions.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's been a blast learning about your career so far.
I would say it's been out of this world.
Yes. Totally agree. And we've learned a lot about your career.
But I'm not ready to take off just yet.
Excellent. Because we want to learn a little bit more about being a robotics flight controller in our next segment called Show and Tell. So Kristen, what do you have to show us today?
So I have my 3D printed Canadarm2 model. So it's even got the little Canada logos on it. And it moves in the same way as the Canadarm2 on orbit does. So it's one of the tools that I use when I'm thinking about maneuvering the arm. It's one of the tools that we use when we train astronauts on Canadarm2 operations. And it's also kind of fun to put it on my space station back there and play Robo. So this is what I have. And yeah, these are 3D printed models and a lot of fun to use. Every single little portion of it is detailed on here. So that's my toy.
That is amazing.
I mean, I love that it's something fun to play around with, and it's a tool that you use when you're teaching astronauts and figuring out what your procedures will be. That's amazing. And
absolutely. I mean, and it's almost as cool as the one that you guys had earlier.
Sure, yeah. This paper one?
Yeah, that one. Same.
A little difference in level of detail, but we appreciate it.
But that's super cool because that one actually influences what might happen with the actual Canadarm.
Yeah, too. You have
you're
holding a lot of power in your hand right there.
Yeah, a lot of what we do is tested in simulation more than tested with this model, but it's good to kind of just visualize things once you sit down before you get started on those simulations.
And what about your shirt, actually? I'm noticing that you have a wonderful shirt.
Yeah, can we have that?
So this shirt has a space station on it. I ordered it recently from an artist that I found on Instagram, but I saw it and I fell in love. And it even had measurements and stats in terms of the orbital speed and stuff like that, and its altitude. So it's pretty cool.
That is pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
And we always love some really out of this world space clothing. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. We need to add to our wardrobe.
It was really hard for me to pick from my plethora of space t-shirts.
Oh, we're just gonna have to interview you again.
Or something different every time.
Should have done costume changes in between those.
Segment. Yeah.
Next up. I think we have enough time to do a few questions from our audience. Shout out to all of you who sent in questions. Thanks for that. So we're going to get to that now. There's the box. Welcome.
Whoa, cool.
Okay. First question. All right. So Lola, age 12, wants to know, what are the best and toughest parts of your job?
The best part of my job is the fact that it changes constantly. So I'm always learning. I work with incredible people that are constantly mentoring me and helping me get better. The toughest part, I would say, is being on console for a spacewalk. It's a very high stress operation. There are, human lives that you're putting at risk by sending them out into such a challenging environment. So I'd say supporting one of those is definitely pretty tough.
Cool. Good to know. And your next question,
that was for you, Lola.
Is thanks, Lola. Your next question is from Felix. Felix wants to know, what's the one purpose that keeps you going in spite of hurdles that you have to overcome?
My one purpose, I think, is just the fact that I love what I do, and I want to be the best possible version of myself and contribute to human spaceflight, and be able to work on these projects and advance our space program in some way that will eventually benefit all of humanity. So I think that's really what keeps me going.
That's pretty awesome.
It's very deep.
And thanks for that question, Felix.
Yeah. Monica, hey Monica, wants to know, how do you spend the hour before takeoff as the flight controller?
So it depends. I haven't been on console as part of the team for a launch yet. A lot of the times that I'm watching launches are just as a space enthusiast. So in terms of the robotics aspect of it, we're usually not involved for the launches. If it is a free flyer vehicle that's going to be going to the space station, then we make sure that our system is ready to support the mission before the actually happens. But the hour before is not something that I'm directly involved with as a robotics flight controller.
Cool. Maybe in the future.
Maybe.
Next question is from Parshati, and she wants to know, what is the one thing about your job that you would want everyone to experience at least once?
Oh my gosh. I guess it's a combination of a couple things. Is sitting in mission control and seeing the passion and dedication of the people that are involved is just this absolutely incredible feeling. And I remember the first time I set foot in that room, it was pretty overwhelming just to consider the history and everything every step that we've taken to get to where we are today. And that feeling for me was pretty exceptional. And I would love for everybody to feel that as well. And just being a part of it, feeling that energy from everybody else and being able to learn from and work with some of the most brilliant people from different partner agencies is just a really, really neat thing.
How much time do astronauts need to be in training before they can go on an official mission? So you've worked with astronauts. Mm-hmm. Do you be able to answer that question?
Yeah, so it's a while. For the 2 years from when they become selected to when they become an astronaut, that's when they're astronaut candidates. So they go through a 2-year training program. And then at that point, depending on the mission that they get assigned to, it's usually another few years to go through all of their flight-specific training and the skills that they'll specifically require for flights as well. So it's a pretty long time from when they become selected as an astronaut to when they actually get to fly. And they're being trained on everything. So I'm only involved in a small part, which is the robotics aspect of all of that. But they need to be able to operate every single system on the space station, as well as everything on the vehicle that's going to take them there and bring them home safely. So they really need to be pros on keeping those systems going at all times and being able to do those repairs and respond to different events. My involvement is a tiny little segment of a very long training program.
Yeah, sounds like there's a lot of parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, the last audience question is from Christian. Thanks for sending this in, Christian. What was your biggest mission to date?
Probably the robotic refueling mission, just because, it's, even though it hasn't been something that I've done only as a flight controller. It's been something that I've been involved with for a very long time. But working on some different missions, so things like the SpaceX 17 mission and some of the spacewalks that have happened and some of the battery changeouts, they're all big missions in my mind. They all require a lot of work and dedication. But in terms of the one that's required the most of my efforts and attention, it's been RRM.
Cool. Thanks so much to all the kids and kids at heart for your questions.
Yes, thank you.
And I guess we have just one more question for you, Kristen, to conclude the whole thing, and that is, what's next for you?
I don't know. I really love being a part of the space station program, so I would love to continue being involved until the end of the ISS program, and I hope it's not anytime soon. And I am working towards my next certification. So within the Robo team, there are 3 different levels to progress through. So I have 2 more exams, and then I start my simulations for my next one. So I'm progressing my way towards that one, and I'm very, very excited to move up within the team. And hopefully I'll get to be involved with Canadarm3 in the future. So as we start taking steps towards the Gateway program and Canadarm3, I definitely hope I get to be a part of that team as well.
That would be awesome. Good luck. I'm sure you will.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the STEAM League. Kristen, it's been such an amazing time. It's been a blast having you.
I was going to say the same. I had a blast talking with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Kristen.
And everyone, you can check out more of the STEAM superheroes on our YouTube channel and at steamsisters.ca.